Those are my words exactly. In the Morelos Mountains, campesinos are planting their fields, where the ghost of Zapata rides a horse that can still outrun the field. High in the sky above the clear outside is the free Mexican Air Force flying tonight. Way up there in Kentucky, a cowgirl is cooling her heels, remembering that God gave us herbs and the fruits of the field. But a criminal law that makes outlaws of those seeking life make free Mexican Air Force Escalito riding his white horse. The free Mexican Air Force is flying tonight, flying so high. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Now strange and innocent herb causes money to burn. They'll jail you or kill you for making those rich fat cats squirm. But nothing can stop us, my vision is clearly in sight. And the free Mexican Air Force is flying tonight. While we smoking colitas, federales are loading their guns, blowing smoke from their six-shooters, spinning their barrels for fun. Contrabandistas, banditos of light, we're the free Mexican Air Force and we're flying tonight. And high in the hills we are harvesting sweet sensimilla. The law wants it all because they think the one we can free us. Freedom for us is a prison for the rulers of might. That's why the free Mexican Air Force, Escalito riding his white horse. The free Mexican Air Force is flying tonight. Everybody flying so high. Yeah, yeah. Flying tonight. Okay.
Shout out Bruce Gas, aka Toker 2. You know I had to drop a track for my boy. Yeah, video rapping boys out here telling fakes. I'm the hardest young nigga, I ain't signed to no label. Hey, Bruce Gas put enough fights on the table. Calling that boxing since Kane versus Abel. Smoking so much gas, you would think that shit was fatal. On the people's champion like Muhammad Ali. Shout out Bruce Gas, one day we gon' meet. Yeah, we gon' blow it down, we gon' smoke a hella weed. Yeah, we gon' blow it down, take a hit out the Toker 2. Slipping hella shots, feel like Tyson with the people. Little Glock on my side, but it hit just like Isaac Cruz. Shout out Mad Chad, real shit, that's my fucking dude. We always cooking on the pan. Strapped to my side, I ain't talking about no sand. Bruce pass me the blunt, I'm like non-stop bars, man, I always spit flames. Feel like Bruce Gas always got a different strain. Bitch, you ain't like me, you could never feel my pain. You win and you lose, well, this a fight game. Don't beef on the net and the shit won't change. Said that on the string, gotta do it for the game. Said that on the string, gotta do it for the chat. I ain't undisputed. Yeah, hold on, I ain't undisputed, but I want all the straps.
There we go. There we go.
There we go.
Welcome, welcome. Salute, salute. Tuesday night fights, man. Bruce Gas over here, man. Bruce Gas and his brother, George Jakovic. And we're here to go back to the 70s, bro. I mean, sometimes me and George, I take him back to the 80s with me, but today we're going to go back and we're going to see the guys who, they didn't care about A side, B side. I mean, bro, rematch clauses, crossing the street. George, this is when I fell in love with boxing, man. And it was a long love affair that's often wandered here and there, but man, we always get back because it's those memories of the 70s. And before I say another thing, man, I'm blessed to have my brother George Jakovic over here. George, say hi to the family out there, man.
Man, it's good. It's good to be here. I love this era, Bruce. Like you said, this is like where you grew up. This was I grew up on the 80s boxing, but the 70s boxing, if you're a boxing student, like this is the era that I studied. And I watched everything I could on Ali and those guys and read every book I could, and this is the era I wish I could have, as a heavyweight fan, just grew up on, because it was special and it'll never be duplicated. We hope that there have been other really good heavyweight eras, but this is special. Listen, if there's ever an era like the 70s era, man, that is going to be a special time in boxing, because these were special fighters.
No, there's never going to be an era like that, George.
Agreed.
I mean, it's come and it's gone. But see, there's cats like me who lived through it, historians like yourself who studied it, and we can come out here, we can share it with the family, man. And I don't know, to me, it really is. It's the heart of rock and roll, bro. This is what made so many people fall in love with boxing, who never even knew never even could dream a couple of middle class families getting together to watch a boxing match. It was almost unheard of until the 70s came around. Anyway, let me shout out who came in here, man. I don't want to neglect the family, because, man, I appreciate you people so much for coming in here. And I appreciate my wife too, because you know what she did, man? She cleaned the Toker 2 for me. Look at that bad boy.
Go.
It's like I get a new one every time I come in here.
Wow.
And I can't find a lighter right now. Come on. This is going to drive me nuts. Where's my producer? Thank you, baby. George, you've been in the business for a long time. It helps to have an executive assistant.
Yes. I have an executive too, so I know.
God bless her, brother. God bless her, man. I'm gonna, I haven't been toking on this thing all day today. I've been putting it off, anticipating some great talking over here. Hey, while I talk, tell them whose birthday it is, and tell them what happened about 40 some odd years ago today.
Well, June 12th, 1986, Evander Holyfield and Dwight Muhammad Qawi fought. That is I watched this fight live. See, this is the 80s. This is my era. Evander Holyfield beat Dwight Muhammad Qawi 15-round split decision in Atlanta. One of the best fights you will ever see if you look it up on YouTube. And that was 36 years ago today. So I know exactly what I was doing 36 years ago.
Me
I was
too,
watching that fight. And Holyfield, what's funny? He was the bronze medalist from that Olympic team. but he was the first guy from that. I mean, a great Olympic team,
Ooh,
probably the second best next to 76. He was the first guy from that team to win a title, and he did it tonight against Dwight Muhammad Qawi, 15
yeah.
round split decision.
And I'll tell you, I was going for Kwawi because I liked Kwawi. He was just a bulldog. Always fought bigger guys. The first time I saw him, he knocked out Mike Rossman, and I said, "This kid's the real deal. This kid is." And he was Dwight Braxton then.
Yep.
Changed his name to Dwight Muhammad Qawi, converted
Yep.
to Islam, and man, he was the ruler at light heavyweights, and then cruiserweights after he grew out of that. But man, Holyfield and him, life and death, 15-round fight.
What a
man.
fight!
Oh,
What a fight! I mean,
what a
look
fight.
at. Listen, you're doing yourself a favor. Anyone, if you just look it up on YouTube, it was a great fight. And you know what's funny? Dwight Muhammad Qawi, he and I lived in the same city for a while. I grew up in Rahway, Jersey. Dwight Muhammad Qawi was in Rahway State Prison.
Rahway State, yes,
So
yes.
we were
James
very
Scott.
close in proximity, yes, for a little while. But what a fight! And this was the start of Holyfield's legacy. He became undisputed cruiserweight champ a few years later in '88,
Yep.
and then in '92 he was a heavyweight champion of the world.
And you know whose birthday it is today, don't you?
Well, I know Leon Spinks just had a
No,
birthday.
no.
I don't know who's
60 years old today, brother.
Sugar.
Julio Cesar Chavez
That's
Sr.
right. I just saw that. Happy birthday,
Happy
Julio.
birthday, Julio Cesar Chavez Sr.
And Leon Spinks, maybe a day or two, he just would have had a birthday.
I think Leon was a year older than I am. He would have probably been 69.
So
yeah, 69.
Happy birthday to Leon. Because
You know, well, you know, the more we hang around this sport, the more that we, the more events happen. Annuals, birthdays, deaths, title fights, tremendous contests. And you know, I like to observe anniversaries. I think it pays a lot of respect to the participants.
Absolutely.
Birthdays too, because you know when you get, I was talking to of all people, man. The way that I met him was by doing a little show on his birthday, Tim Witherspoon. And he reached out and he contacted me. And he's been on the show twice. And I text him a lot. Not once in a while we just to shoot him a happy 4th of July or something.
Yeah.
And he told me, man, I like that birthday thing you did for me because we didn't get too many birthdays anymore. And
well, we recognize these guys. Like Leon Spinks will always be. He's a heavyweight champion forever, and no matter what, he'll always be remembered for what he did to Muhammad Ali, beating him in, I think it was Spinks' 8th fight, something like that, in 1978. Incredible.
And that's where we're going. We're going to the 70s. But let me shout out who's here while I still got some marbles in my head over here because I got a few.
Start from the beginning, because you haven't shouted anyone out yet. So
not a soul. And
go from the top.
I got to get my tunnel vision going over here. The first guy in, Oscar Prince Boateng, and he's the one who told me it was Chavez's birthday today. So shout out to Oscar. I think he came in to make sure I shouted out to Chavez, bro.
There you go.
My brother Dick Justice from Croatia. Thank you, my brother. Remy, my man. Remy, good brother.
Remy.
Thank you, my brother. The Australian war dog himself, Carl Hunter Hansen. Look out, the crocodile hunter himself, man. And Mr. Doc, I sent you a link, bro. Go back and look, because I know Mr. Doc's a 70s war dog, and he said he was going to come on here with us. And I told you I was going to drop it in your that little email thing that we have going on, bro. Check it out, man. Check it out. Stephen Lamontes, Stephen the Mac. Salute, my brother. Thank you so much for coming in. We're a fellow Toker of mine, man. Never met him, but I know when I do, we're gonna pass that Toker to or a blunt. Iceman, another Iceman. This guy's up all the time, day and night. Shout out to Iceman. Demetrius Bright, my brother, always goes where I go, and I seem to always go where he's going. So, man, shout out to Demetrius Bright, man. And one round with George Jakovic is in here. Whoa,
really?
Shout out to that bum.
What's up, George?
Sounds
like a bum.
He better be wrenched up because I'm going to time him out, man.
You should.
Yeah, there it is, bro. And if you're not subbed to that channel, make sure you sub to One Round with George, man. That's my co-host, George Jakovic. A lot of times I'm here all by myself, and George, he always managed to sneak in the back door. And I start going, blah, 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 blah. Take over, George. He's my man. Carlos Mendoza, my brother. Shout out to you. he's about the funniest guy on YouTube. I can't even repeat what he says because it's probably copywritten. Major Key, my bro. Major Key, great guy, man. Major Key's had me on there with Jerry Cooney, with James Toney, with Iran Barkley. I mean, Major Key is
that's all legends.
He's a G. He's the one who kind of gave me the confidence to speak to these guys and to to reach out to them because they like coming here as much as we like coming.
Of course they do.
And man, shout out to Major Key. He used to have Major Key Mondays. He quit doing that, but it's going to happen again because connections he has. And the the vibes they get going on there, bro. I asked Buddy McGirt a question about the fight with Pernell Whitaker when his arm was hanging down, and he gave me the answer. He told me that the mob was going to hit him. He was going to end up in the East River, and his manager, if he didn't go through with that fight, they told him he just had a little impingement in there. He actually needed shoulders. Oh, bro, I mean,
he was really hurt.
The things that we hear, from being on the inside here, and shout out to Major Key for calling me on there. He calls me on to co-host a lot of the interviews he does, man. And shout out to him. My sister Ashley.
Oh, Ashley.
To you, Ashley.
She needs to do more shows. Please, Ashley, do more shows.
Please, Ashley, please. And she's another one, man. I wanna puff a blunt with her before I go see those 15-round fights again. But man, hey, Scott, Mo Boxing is in here, man.
Skywalker, listen, everyone, go subscribe to his show. He just started doing shows. That's my dude right there. Like he's like us. He loves boxing, man.
Absolutely. The icon. All right, man. Pernell Sweet Pea Whitaker.
I want that jacket. If I could find that jacket, I would buy it right now.
All right, man. I think he's from the Midwest somewhere. I think I know what his name is. We'll go checking him out. We'll go searching for him, George. I got a vacation coming up, man. We'll go check him out, bro.
Let's do it.
Let's see, man. I was Mo came. The Skywalker came in here. I saw Mo Boxing in here too, man. I don't want to miss anybody because I appreciate it. And when I get sledded in the chat room, even though it's not intentional, because you get a lot of things you got to be watching and stuff like that. I kind of say, what's the matter, man? What am I? What am I? A casual in here? Give me a break. My brother Mo Boxing, man, great guy, great channel. Thomas Jones, bro. Shout out to my man Thomas Jones, man.
Yeah, TJ.
Absolutely, man. You
said the word. Well, let me interrupt you 1 second. You said the word casual. Like the word casual. That's like calling a woman the B word. If you call a boxing fan a casual, they get so like, I'm not a casual, but it's funny. You said that's like the C word. There's the B word and the C word.
Well, I don't know if you ever read my thumbs, George, but I put in there. I said,
I know, I saw it.
But I put it in there every week, bro, because when I hear somebody call somebody a casual, I say, hey, they're going to give us casuals a bad name, man.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
Shout out to Chain with Ice in here, man. Con Shawnery, my brother.
Oh, Con.
I call him the boxologist over there. I got to be careful what I say because Con Shawnery will correct me and put me in my place, man.
That's good. Con knows his stuff.
He's got to get his own show, man. All right, man. George, how can we start the 70s without the exile of Muhammad Ali and the heavyweight title being fragmented, man? It was.
You know what, Bruce? How about before we get into that, recap? What are your thoughts on the fights that happened last week? There weren't any major fights, but you had a heavyweight fight. Chisora.
You know what my favorite fight was?
Which one?
Chisora and.
What a good fight! What a like Chisora. How can you not root for him?
Girl behind the mic. Salute, sister.
How can you not root for Chisora? I mean, he won a fight, and I don't know what it's going to mean to his career ultimately. I don't think he'll ever get another title shot, but he's got over 50 fights. He gives his all every fight. He's one of those guys in boxing that you can't help but root for. And he gives you a good fight every time, win or lose.
Get some of my water. I just a little PSA in there. Anybody who's not drinking water on a regular basis, drink that water. My brother George, he went and did a show with Joe Smith, and I'm always expounding the benefits of water. But George had to lead the horse to the water. He was in Joe Smith's camp, and Joe probably drinks 5 gallons a day, 10 gallons, 20 gallons. I mean, so George got himself hydrated proper. And
That's right.
man, you know, he kind of indirectly thanked me for it. And bro, everybody out there, drink more water.
That's right. So I
All right,
also
man.
the
Just
featherweight
saw it.
fight, Mark Mag
You know, Mexia.
look, everyone wanted to compare him to Pacquiao because he's from the Philippines and because he's trained by Freddie Roach. That's where the comparison ends. He's no Manny Pacquiao. He's a decent fighter who got a disputed decision against Gary Russell, and now he lost his belt in his first defense. So it was a good fight. I mean, there's no doubt he tried. He had a
But
knockdown late.
I want to get back to the heavyweight fight, bro.
Oh, okay.
I thought that was the most entertaining fight of the day.
Easily. And what Chisora is like 38, Pulev is I think 41.
Oh, they're both
So-
ancient. But you know what it reminded me of? We have a thing in Rhode Island once a year. It's called the South County Fair, and it's I mean, I guess every hick that lives beyond the city brings their chickens and their dogs who had 27 puppies. But I mean, it's cow milking, all that crazy shit that you don't see around here. But you go to the South County Fair once a year, and you can buy the sugar-soaked breadsticks or whatever it may be. But they used to have back in the 70s. They used to have the Tough Man contest over there.
Oh man!
And that's what. And I'll tell you, Pulev and Chisora look like they should have been at the South County Fair back in 1976, bro, bicentennial, because it was like Rock'em Sock'em Robots defense. What's that?
Exactly. And I love Chisora. He's not a great fighter. He's never going to be a champion, but he's one of the guys that he leaves an impression on you because he gives everything he has every time. The guy's 38. He's 38 years old.
And he called out Deontay Wilder.
I know.
Why not? Why? I mean, Deontay needs a comeback fight. We want to see if he's damaged, man, because he had a few beatings, man. He hasn't fought. He hasn't had one of those dramatic knockouts in 3 years, bro.
Yeah.
Or 2 years, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And I want to see. I'd like to see him, and he'd probably take him out in one round.
But you know what? Why not? Why not Chisora?
Exactly, because
a comeback fight. Why not?
If they were in the 70s, George, that fight would be boop, done, signed, sealed, and delivered. Move on to the next fight.
Except if this was the 70s, this would have been signed 3 months after Wilder lost to Fury. He would have come back in the ring and fought Chisora in that era. So, different day.
And that was, I mean, it was such a funky time in boxing. And like I said, Muhammad Ali had been, he'd been stripped of his titles, and he was really he was the last undisputed heavyweight champion. I don't think there was one in the 80s until.
Tyson.
Tyson.
Tyson got the belts back together.
But all through after Ali lost to Leon Spinks.
No, you're right. It was just fractured.
All the way through the 70s, the Holmes era. He never was undisputed, and there were so many champions before Tyson. But the thing about the 70s too is they got those championships together. The first getting together of the title, so to speak, that was Jimmy Ellis. Jimmy Ellis had the WBA version, which covered almost every state, except we had the New York State Athletic Commission,
right,
which recognized Joe Frazier.
That was the major belt. The New York, that was like a major belt back then.
There were only 6 states that followed the New York State Athletic Commission. We had 44 states with the WBA,
right.
But the most honored one, because it was New York and because Madison Square Garden was the hotbed of boxing, that was where everyone looked to the New York State Athletic Commission as the standard in titles. When Jimmy Ellis fought Joe Frazier, that was, I mean, by today's standards, that was huge, and that was a fight that it was on closed circuit. So if I was I don't know 16 or so, maybe not even.
So you didn't see that fight live?
I listened to it on the radio, bro.
Okay.
And that was the last time a heavyweight championship fight was broadcast live on the radio.
Wow.
I mean, I remember laying in bed. I had my little Sony next to me with the like a Rolodex kind of
Yeah.
Rolodex hands to tell the
Yeah.
time, and I had to keep it down low, and I would listen to that, and that was when we started something wild. We started Ali was coming back in the 70s. The Supreme Court, they agreed on Ali's appeals, and he was a free man.
Yep.
He could go back in search of the title. He came back against Jerry Quarry, another one. There's just so many
So
people
many.
to talk about. But let me see if I have that Joe Frazier and Jimmy Ellis fight here. Let me see if I dug that one up. We can put it on the background while we're talking over here.
And while you're looking for that, a great book and a great documentary is called Facing Ali. And
Oh,
it has most of these fighters that we're talking about, their perspective on facing him. It was a great book, and it's a great doc. You can find it streaming probably on YouTube.
it's on YouTube. You can get it free
And
with ads.
Leon Spinks was awesome in it. George Chavallo, some of the 60s and 70s guys, but a lot of these guys we're talking about are in that. Like I said, it's a great book and it's a great doc, man. Facing Ali.
Ernie Terrell, the guy,
Yes.
what's my
Yes.
name fight.
Yep.
But let's see if I can just dig this one up to put on the in the background, so we don't so we keep with our theme here. Oh, we've got to get that down. That could get us in trouble. And shout out to Boxing Legends. They own the rights to this fight. Any royalties goes to them. And here we are, man. Jimmy Ellis.
Not even a real heavyweight, you know. He was a middleweight, I think, when he started his career.
From Muhammad Ali's hometown.
Yep, Louisville, Kentucky.
Derek Clark, man. Salute to you, my brother. We're talking about some fights that I saw live and in the flesh, and George saw him many times. He's just a bit. He doesn't look it, but he is a little younger than me. So take everything George says with a grain of salt.
I'm telling you, like I said, Bruce, I was like the student in the like just watching all these fights and reading about all this because I missed the greatest heavyweight era of all time. So when I got into boxing, it was over. But it wasn't that far removed where I couldn't read about it or watch the fights. And it was harder to watch the fights back then. We didn't have YouTube. We didn't have the internet. So it was a little tougher to see those fights.
The major fights were on, and that's why you had to prepare. You had to get yourself ready for them.
Right.
This here was a pay-per-view. Very rare. Not too many closed circuit. That's what they call them, closed circuit, because you had to go to the arena.
Yep.
You had to go to a movie theater. Now this fight here, we have to remember that Joe Frazier, he didn't enter the tournament when Ali was forced into exile. Bob Arum started the tournament, and it was Joe Frazier. Excuse me, it was Jimmy Ellis. It was Floyd Patterson, George Chavallo, and Jerry Quarry. And anyway, in the finals, it was won by Jimmy Ellis over Floyd Patterson, and Joe Frazier didn't want any part of that tournament. He said, "I already beat these guys. I beat these guys, and you want me to fight them again?" And I mean, Joe Frazier was one of the only guys who does what's done today. Kui, salute my sister.
Kui.
Joe Frazier does what he does what fighters do today. He actually dictated the terms where most of the fighters did what the promoters told them to do.
By the way, Floyd Patterson, everything I've read, he lost a very disputed decision to Jimmy Ellis. A lot of people thought that Patterson won that fight. But imagine if Patterson won that. This fight would have been Joe Frazier and Floyd Patterson for the heavyweight title. And Joe Frazier weighed 205 pounds, Jimmy Ellis 201 pounds. And these guys were fighting for the heavyweight championship of the world.
Yeah, I had to blow my nose. By today's standards, cruiserweights are bridgerweights.
Yeah.
But back then, I mean, I don't know if we've evolved in 50 years, but the heavyweights are just bigger now. Maybe it's the food, maybe it's the water, maybe it's the PEDs. I don't know what it is. Tupac, my bro, salute, man, salute. But fighters are just bigger today. These were decent sized heavyweights, because we go through the division with Quarry, Chevalo. Not many fighters were over that 225 mark.
Right. I mean, even Ernie Terrell was like 6'6", but he wasn't very heavy. He was, I think, in his 220s. He wasn't a heavy guy.
I believe George Foreman 225 was his prime weight.
Right. Boy, Joe Frazier. Like what an era. This was like the beginning of the era for the 70s, because he was like the first real heavyweight champ of the 70s.
And Jimmy Ellis, he's trained by Angelo Dundee, like you see from Ali's hometown, trained in Ali's gym. Angelo Dundee, he was Ali point two, who filled in while Ali was while Ali couldn't fight anymore. But Ali sparred with Jimmy Ellis. That was his stablemate. And they even went on to fight after, I think they fought twice.
Yeah, they sure did. So slide and counter. I brought up the fact that imagine if it was Patterson against Frazier. Slide and counter said Joe would have flattened Patterson if he thought Johansson hurt him. Imagine Joe's left hook. I mean, that's a good point. The difference in power between Frazier and Johansson is pretty big, but it would have been cool to see Floyd Patterson fight Frazier, just because that's a fight that didn't happen. And Floyd was past his prime. Floyd's prime was in the 60s, but he fought well into his 30s, and he was still a really, really good fighter.
And it was a fantasy fight back then that almost happened, was the Joe Frazier and Sonny Liston.
Oh,
they came within. If Sonny Liston had fought on after he beat the Chuck Wepner.
Yeah.
I mean, they were almost destined to clash, but
and that was after. I mean, Liston's prime obviously was over, but still, could you imagine?
And
Sonny Liston and Joe Frazier.
But you know what Liston said about it? Liston said it'd be like shooting fish in a barrel. And we look at what George Foreman did to Joe Frazier, and it's kind of almost poetic, because
I mean, if Liston had lived, I mean, that would have been.
And that was a tragic story. I remember I was a little kid and I heard about that.
Sonny Liston.
Yeah, the death of Sonny Liston. My dad went to the Ali Liston fight in Augusta. Was it Augusta, Maine?
It was up there. Yeah, it was up north.
I can't think of it. Lewiston. Yeah. My dad went up there and he went to the bathroom. He missed the fight. It was a first round knockout. It was the famous, the dive fight, whatever, the Phantom Punch. But yeah, man. But Muhammad Ali, he gave us so many memories. Even he's at ringside here too. I think they showed him at ringside. And
yeah, I mean, they're still making, Showtime. I think within the last 2 years, they had another doc on Sonny Liston and his death. So even all these years later, there's still all this intrigue and this interest in Sonny Liston because of his tragic life and death.
Sliding counter, salute my bro. But look at Jimmy Ellis. Jimmy Ellis has got a nice battle plan here. If he could keep it up, because he's taking punches, but he's really firing off too.
I mean,
Frazier,
good boxer.
Yeah, Frazier just can't be. He can't be wavered by a small heavyweight like that. He goes right through him.
Jimmy Ellis was the classic 1-2. He had the left jab and the right hand, and he had very good speed. But you had to, if you couldn't hold off Joe Frazier, he was just going to run you over, and eventually that's what happened in this fight. He couldn't hold Frazier off.
Mm-hmm. Frazier was priming right here. He was just I can
bob and the weave.
I can remember being in high school, and I remember my shop teacher saying, "This kid is like another Marciano."
Yeah.
And, he's saying this is an old Italian guy, and he said this kid's another Marciano. And I'm if it impresses him, I got to check out Joe Frazier. And I saw the fights with Quarry. I saw this fight. I've seen it many times, but I remember listening to it on the radio when I was supposed to be in bed for school the next day. A lot of these fights, man, they had them on during the week.
during the week. Yeah.
Something they don't do today. Maybe you'll see a fight at 5 o'clock in the morning from Japan on a Wednesday morning.
Right.
But William, old school, bro. Salute, my man.
Boy, Joe Frazier was so effective. Like that bob and weave in that last round. I saw him make what's his name?
Ellis.
Jimmy Young Ellis miss with like 3 or 4 punches. Just the way he like it was so effective against certain fighters. And against certain fighters, it wasn't. Like with George Foreman, he would bob and weave right into a left hook and a right hand. So styles make fights.
And he had problems with Oscar Bonavina, another firecracker in the early 70s.
God, that guy was tough.
He was tough. Oh, tough as they come. And we throw Ron Lyle in there. Derek Bailey, shout out my brother. Shout out my man. We're going through some. We're in the early 70s right now. We're looking at the first time that the heavyweight title is unified since Muhammad Ali was stripped of it for refusing induction into the armed services. And over here we have the WBA champion Jimmy Ellis, who won a tournament, and he's taking on the New York State Athletic Commission champion, which is Joe Frazier. I believe he got this fight by knocking out Buster Mathis Sr., wasn't it, George?
I think so, yeah. What's incredible about Frazier, he didn't really have a jab. He didn't have much of a right hand. He had a left hook. He had one weapon, but what a weapon to have. Like, look at that. I mean, what a weapon that he had.
Look what he's doing to Jimmy Ellis right now with it, man.
Like the way he slings that thing, it's like a slingshot.
And somebody it would take a super defensive fighter to beat that, but it could easily be beaten. I mean, it's like Jerry Cooney. He was basically a Walmart version of Joe Frazier,
right?
But once
just a bigger version.
And once they learned how to get avoid that left hook, circle to your left, and just I mean, there's so many different ways to do it. But Joe Frazier he had that bob and weave, just bull style. And Joe Frazier, he wanted to fight. He was a tough guy. I was so shocked when George Foreman knocked him out, man. Because all this stuff happened in the early 70s too.
Yeah.
I mean, this is like when I was in high school, and I wasn't even, I was still living at home.
But Ellis, his instinct was to fire back, and even before he got knocked out, he landed some really good rights. But Joe Frazier had a chin too. He had that. He had a left hook. He had a chin. He had heart. I mean, oof.
Well, his son Marvis even said that when he was a kid, he went to the the Jamaican fight with George Foreman, and he had he'd been in the gym, but he'd never seen his dad get hurt like that, and he thought Joe was kidding around. He's like, "Come on, Pop, get up! Don't play like that." He did that around the Christmas tree when Marvis hit him. He's like, "Come on, Dad, we're not playing." And all of a sudden, it's like the masterful, the bomber. It was a sad night to see that night. That was another night, man. That wasn't on regular television. That was the beginning of HBO, and I'm not sure if I don't know who even had HBO, but that fight was sold by HBO, and I heard it on the radio once again, and it was a funky night. My dad had a heart attack. We had to go to the hospital, and I'm listening to the radio, and I heard Joe Frazier knocked out by George Foreman, going down 5 times and stopped in the second round. I'm like, was your
dad okay?
No, he wasn't, man. So it's kind of it kind of but it's life, bro. I mean, it is what it is.
How old were you?
Oh, I was 17.
Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah, well, my dad was a good guy. He died when I was 18, and hey, God bless my dad, and I'm sure my dad, the last fight we listened to was Ali getting beat by Ken Norton.
Wow.
So that was that's a sweet memory for me, man.
Yeah.
But this fight, getting back to the living over here, me and you, George. That's what Tuesday Night Fights is for, the living.
That's right.
And both of these brothers gone too. I mean, but Bro, they're alive right here for us, courtesy of YouTube, man. Vistiana, salute my sister. Thank you so much for coming in. I got to keep my eye on the chat, Judge. That's the thing, man. I'm getting eye surgery next month for cataracts. I'm practically blind anyway right now, and
I'll fill in for you when if you can't see the chat for a week or two.
Nah. It's an exercise, bro. It's an exercise.
Okay.
But
okay.
I just want anybody out there, man. If I miss you, it's not intentionally.
Right. Or maybe it is.
Nah.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
That's my line.
Just kidding. Boy,
Yes.
Frazier, when Frazier got warmed up, I mean, if you caught him early, like Foreman caught him early in their fight, but once he got warmed up, I mean, he was just like bob weaving, slinging shots and trying to take you out.
Frazier got caught many times in the early rounds. He got Ali almost stopped him in the second fight.
Right.
Bonavina decked him in the early round in the second round. And look what George Foreman did to him ultimately. But you're right, man. Jerry Quarry beat him in the first couple of rounds when they fought twice. But once Joe got warmed up, he was the real life Rocky. He was banging that side of beef, and unfortunately, you were that long slab of tenderloin hanging there, and Joe was relentless with that left hand.
Boy, that's a dream fight, Rocky Marciano and Joe Frazier, because no one's backing up. Nobody's backing up in that fight. So, God, I can only imagine what that fight would be like. But Frazier threw that left hook to the body, to the head. I mean, anywhere he could hit you is where he would throw that thing. I mean, he just went body and head twice, right?
And the right hand is really nothing, you know. Look at it's like a
God. I mean, Ellis looks like he's dead, but he gets back up and he fires back.
Stop the fight. This is 1970.
I mean, Frazier was going body and head with that left hook, and if he starts to land it, you're done.
Gerson, I got my tab over here with YouTube on, so I want to make sure you get your wrench so nobody times you out. But I know you're a very, very intelligent individual. You can speak your mind over here, bro.
Boy, second knockdown.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
This fight would be over today. The ref would have stopped it, but back then,
nope.
They let fights go on till you die.
Angelo stops this fight in the corner. What round are we in here? Oh yeah, Angelo's stopping this fight now.
Yeah, this is an Angelo knew. But what heart by Ellis to get up. He got up twice from just, he's got his hands down and boom.
This was the fateful fourth, wasn't it?
I think so.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Now, Joe was truly a wrecking machine. One of the greatest in the 70s.
Yeah.
But, there was a better fighter. There were a couple of better fighters, but man, not many though. Not many. And Angelo Dundee stops it here. Yeah, that's
Angelo. And Jimmy's a fighter, man. He doesn't want to stop.
No.
Yank Durham, Joe Frazier, and Yank Durham is his great trainer.
Yep.
Look at that, a young Joe. That's a young Joe Frazier right there, becoming heavyweight champion of the world.
And he went on to put fear in hearts after he beat Ali. Even though he got beat up himself and was never the same, that night that should have been the pinnacle of
he won the fight of the century, Bruce. So he's forever a part of history. He won the fight of the century against Ali. I know he had the trilogy and he got knocked out by Foreman, but he won the fight that was called truly the fight of the century. So he was the first real, this great era. Joe Frazier started it when he became heavyweight champ.
Well, I'll tell you, man, the fight of the century. That was the fight that stopped the world.
Oh, well, you lived it, so you can tell. I mean, I was 2 years old, I think. So
yeah, no, that See that was the height of the Vietnam War,
Yeah.
and Muhammad Ali, he refused to go to Vietnam.
Yep.
And I was 16, 17, and I was at the age where friends of mine were going to Vietnam. And they were either they were never the same, and some didn't come back at all.
Mm.
And I was at that conflict in my life. If they actually had the draft.
Did you get drafted?
No, see, I was at the year. I got a number, but they stopped the draft the year that I would have gotten drafted.
Wow, that's
And,
like I think about that. That is crazy.
oh yeah, man. It was a funky time, and this fight was so real. This fight was the peace generation against the war generation.
Right.
It was the hard hats, and it was against the hippies, and they were marching in the street with fucking the
Well,
blood, billy clubs, all that shit. I mean, it was violent shit. But it came down to be it was centered on a fight, the fight of the century.
Right.
Muhammad Ali, the greatest boxer of all time in my mind, and Joe Frazier, a killer who undefeated, left hook, take your head off. And man, I didn't see this fight when it happened. I just couldn't go to it, but
Yeah.
I saw it again, and I listened to it. They had what they had was on the radio. It was a lot of AM radios, right? And the disc jockey had a UPS thing going on in there, so he'd get the fights results right off every round.
Wow.
And so he'd read them to you. And Muhammad Ali, dynamite combination this round, but Joe Frazier with a tremendous left hook, and Muhammad Ali is the 15. Ali is down, and you kind of knew just by the UPS reporting of the fight how it was going to be a close fight. But Frazier was dominating. Frazier was landing the cleaner punches. Frazier was he was just more accurate. And man,
as much as I love Ali, and he's my favorite of all time, he obviously he did some really bad things with Joe. He made out Joe Frazier to be an Uncle Tom, and had his own people rooting against him, saying he was the fighter for the white man. So as much as I love Ali, Ali did some, and he admitted he did some dirty things to Joe and put Joe in a bad light. And Marvin Frazier talked about that.
Ali did admit that, but Ali was also a showman. Ali got his shtick from professional wrestling. And he took it too far.
He did. That's the thing. He took it too far.
He took it too far. But
he took it way too far.
But he gave us such cool times. And
absolutely.
Joe forgave Ali at the end. Joe was a Christian, and man, there was nothing like the time I saw them hugging each other on. I don't know what show it was. I don't know if it was that Champions Forever, and they were like this, their hands.
Yeah, I mean, you think about it, you get emotional because they went through so much.
I'm emotional now thinking about it.
They went through so much, and look, they're both gone now, and but they left. Both of them. Very few athletes are remembered forever, and those guys, Ali and Frazier, they're remembered forever.
Oh yeah, forever. Yeah. We got some highlights we can share.
Oh man.
And this was from the fight of the century, and this is Madison Square Garden.
My brother was born this night. My brother who passed away at the age of 22. My brother was born this night, and my joke in the household was, "You were probably born the second that Ali got dropped in that 15th round. That's when you were born." So that was my joke with my brother back then.
God bless your brother, George.
Yeah.
But man, this fight had so many celebrities, and at ringside, and to get to ringside, Frank Sinatra and Burt Lancaster had to get press credentials and take pictures. They got that's how they got to ringside. They just couldn't get them. It was that sold out. And you were talking about A-listers. That would be like Madonna and I don't even know who A-listers are anymore. That's how many movies I go to. But yeah, man, Ali came back too fast. He only fought Jerry Quarry and
way too fast.
And Oscar Bonavina.
And he played around so much in this fight. You could tell he didn't take Frazier seriously. He believed he was the greatest, and he had his moments early where he dominated, but he didn't take Frazier seriously, and he paid the price.
The ultimate price. And Joe Frazier, he was nothing like the fighter who came into this fight after this fight.
Right.
Because even though Ali lost his fight, he dished out such a beating to Joe Frazier's head, his body. Joe Frazier was pissing blood for a month. He spent 30 days in the hospital. He didn't fight. Joe Frazier didn't fight for almost a year.
Yeah. I mean, he had that style that, I mean, he was not destined to have a long career. He took a lot of punishment, but he dealt out a lot of punishment. So he with that style, you just can't have a long career. And he really didn't. He fought on after his prime. But this was the pinnacle. This was like every fighter's got like their high point. And Joe Frazier, this was his high point.
Did I ever tell you, George, I saw Joe Frazier?
No, tell me.
Right up the street from me, there was a nightclub. It's gone now, and it was called the Matador Inn. And Joe Frazier and the Knockouts came there in 1974, was it? Or was it 76? It was. He wasn't fighting. And Joe Frazier was singing "Rolling Down the River."
That dude loved to sing.
I think it was $350 to get in and see him. And bro, I mean, it was corny, but man, I'll never fucking forget that one. That's one of those things.
I've got a Joe Frazier story. I didn't meet him, but when I was at HBO, rest in peace, there was a guy named Artie Curry, who was like he was the liaison between the fighters and the higher ups at HBO. And Artie was like my guy. He would always call me into his office. So one day I was a PA, I was a production assistant for HBO. He calls me in. He says, "Hey, what are you doing?" I said nothing. He said, "Come in. I'm about to make a phone call." 5 minutes later, he's on a conference call with Joe Frazier and Larry Holmes, who were like the best of friends. And I'm sitting there listening to the three of those guys talk, and I was like a little kid, man. I mean, I'm listening to Joe Frazier and Larry Holmes. They're busting each other's balls, and it was so cool. So I never met Frazier, but I heard him on the phone talking with Larry and Artie, and those are cool moments, man. As a boxing fan, Bruce, like I'm a boxing fan. Like boxing is in my blood.
We're boxing groupies. Who are you kidding?
I'm listening to Larry Holmes and Joe Frazier on the phone talking to each other.
You know how cool it is when I get these guys coming up here like Reggie Johnson last week.
No, I know. I know.
I'm like, duh. Bro, I mean, these were my heroes. I didn't read comic books. I read Ring magazine, you know?
That's why, Bruce, it's important, and I think it's a great thing to talk about. Like when you and I talked with Aaron Davis a few weeks ago, all these guys are champions, and look, their time in the spotlight is over, but it doesn't mean that you have to forget about them. And we don't, and a lot of people don't.
You know it. MP, what the fuck? Salute, man. I sorry if I missed you, my brother. Thank you for coming by, man. Bruce Gass, George Jakovic. I invited Mr. Doc here. I sent him his invite. He never showed up. Mad Chad never showed up. G5 never showed up. G5, he got this, works a lot. This guy's
G5 will be in at some point. He'll slide in.
G5's in Texas, bro, and he's later than me. I get up at sometimes 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and he's on the air. And I'm like, and he's working. I can hear.
Hey Bruce, you see what Carl Hansen, if you want to put his quote up, you can never forget the legends, and that's the truth. Because you know the fighters we're talking about, they all had their moments, and you know how it is. I mean, the people, the general public, they forget fighters, athletes so quickly. But guess what? We don't. So Reggie Johnson, Bobby Ches, Aaron Davis, all those guys they're like they're always champions. So yeah, Khan, it was his best win. I mean, look, this was the fight of the century, and Joe Frazier won it.
It was, man. Like I said, the whole country was in turmoil. The world stopped this night, bro. I think the Vietnam War stopped. I don't think there was, I really do. I think the the Vietnamese were watching this fight. The Americans. I mean, really, I think this was this fight stopped the world. Miles Davis was addicted to heroin, and he didn't leave his apartment for a year, and he came out to see this fight.
Wow.
I mean, this was an event. I watched this fight, and it gives me the chills. And hey, my brother, 150. I got to get back into my music over here. I lost my tunes, so I'm gonna have to.
I didn't even realize it. Like with all these 70s heavyweights and what we're talking about, I didn't even realize you lost the music.
I know, man, but I have to. I have to go back and get some of that copyright music.
There's so many great documentaries and books on these guys. I mean, HBO did a doc on this fight. Man, that's the beauty of the times that we live in. That right on YouTube, you can watch all this stuff. You can watch everything that you and I couldn't watch when we were growing up.
For sure, bro. For sure. But yeah, I found what I wanted here. Let me. Is that too loud or is that okay?
That's good.
Cool, man. See, I can't go into my little screen down here because I got the fight on here. My brother 150, I played your song tonight, man. I hope I didn't forget to shout you out for it. Look, I think I did, George.
You always play the song, so
I always play it, but I want to shout him out too, because man, Big Say So used to be 150. Who knows what he is now? He's whatever he wants to be, bro.
So Big Say So is 150.
Yeah, Big Say So is 150.
Okay.
He closed the 150 show down. I was the last guest on there with him.
Hey, what's up with Mad Chad?
I don't know, man. I don't know. Hey, God bless Mad Chad. I hope he comes, but Mad Chad, he works early in the morning. He was out of work early, so he's got to get up at 5 o'clock. And sometimes you nod off a little bit. I do a lot myself, man. And you miss it. It happens, man. And life happens. But hey, we're here. The invites is out to him, and Mrs. Knockout 86 TV. Shout out to you, sir.
Oh God,
for coming in. Yeah, look. Oh yeah.
This is the 11th round when
Mr. Mechanical.
What's up, Mr. Mechanical? Man, Ali was out on his feet. He played and he shucked and he jived and he made it through the round somehow.
Frazier didn't realize how bad he hurt Ali. But the thing is, Frazier, he wants to put a hurting on Ali. He just wants that left hook. And
look at that. He's got no legs. He's got no legs. And he conned his way out of the last 6 seconds of this round because he wobbles back to the corner, playing around. And I think Frazier, right here, look how smart Ali was. Look how smart he was. Oh my. This was the fight he really, I think, he proved.
This is only the 12th round. See, these back in the day, the championship rounds were the 13th, the 14th, and the 15th. This would be the end for a fight today. This would be the final round for a championship fight. But back then, 15 rounds, man. You had to walk the walk. That was hell.
Frazier is slinging that left hook.
Unbelievable.
It just bing, the way he threw it.
Get your water in you. This is great stuff, George. This was 1970. Finish and get together. My boy G5 just came in the joint.
Hey,
like you said, George, G5 will be in here before the night's over.
Shout out, my brother. Always gonna show up.
Yes, sir. What's going on, Brucey? George, my brothers, what's going on?
What's up, my man?
No, I said I'm just gonna sit here
we
for a
talked
second.
about, and that's what you remember talking about, the weed that he smoked in 71.
Hey, well, G5 wasn't even he wasn't even a twinkle in his daddy's eye in the 70s.
No, he wasn't.
Shit, no. In 70, I needed 18 more years. Somebody was a teenager.
I was just learning what those little buttons you press were in the 70s, you know?
Yes, I'm an 88 baby.
Yeah, man. But I'll tell you though, the fights, that was just a little highlight reel of what went on. But man, we saw the fight of the century, G5. And we're going through some Muhammad Ali, not Muhammad Ali, but Ali was the 70s. And he was the fighter of the fucking century.
But what a like the list of fighters behind him. What a deep class of heavyweights, man.
Right.
Ernie Shavers and Kenny Norton and Jimmy Ellis and Ron Lyle and George Foreman and Ernie
Jimmy
Shavers
Young.
and
Oh
my
yeah,
God,
yeah.
that is
Yeah,
deep. That is deep.
Let's throw some of those fights on in the background.
That is
Let me
deep.
see.
Hey, Bruce. So Carl Hansen said he has a he was shouting me out. He said, George, I'm thinking about doing a documentary on catching crocodiles in the wild. Can you be my cameraman director? Yes. Carl, I'm there. I'll do it. You just tell me when
You
and
know
where.
George will do that, and I'll make sure he's got a couple of balonies in his pocket.
No, and I'm bringing G5 with me, so we'll both be there. We'll
Yeah.
both be there in the wild, and we'll do it, Carl. Just let me know.
And G5 will do a live from there. I guarantee.
That's right.
it.
He'll do live, and we'll have it all handled.
All right, man. This is what contenders did in the fucking 70s. Excuse my vile language. I'm trying to cut that down. Here we go. Jerry Quarry and Ron Lyle.
Oh God.
These guys were both killers. Ron Lyle was literally a killer. He was released from jail with a pardon. He was in jail for murder.
Yeah.
As a juvenile, and he had a governor's pardon.
So G5, like I know this was Bruce's real era, the 70s heavyweights, but I know you know boxing. Besides Ali, what do you remember most, or what have you read about the most when it comes to the 70s heavyweights?
Well, we named some of them. We went over a lot of them and did some of the topics over the last month or so or two have been over. We talked about Ron Lyle, Ken Norton, Ali. You know what I'm saying? So I'm familiar with those fighters at this point, like even more than a few months ago.
Yeah.
That was just a crazy ass era to be in the heavyweight division.
So deep.
Either way you go, it's like having a loaded football team.
Yep.
And even your second and third strings can go start for any other school.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? That's how I look at the heavyweight division in the 70s, man. And anybody could beat anybody. It all depends on, who came out and performed the best that day. And they actually wanted to fight each other. You know what I'm saying? The golden era, yet again, where the best fought the best. No questions asked. So, no matter when you go through the 70s, you can pull up any matchup. You can find a lot of great fights. Some of them had trilogies. Some of them just rematches, So it's just, if we can get a core of that back in the boxing these days, that's a win for us.
Yeah. And it seemed like everybody fought each other. Bruce, I think the only fight that wasn't made, or one of the only fights, was Joe Frazier and Kenny Norton. But I know they trained together. But that was one of the few fights of these guys that didn't fight each other. Frazier and Norton never fought.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we won. They were supposed to fight, but it never happened.
Yeah.
Doc, I'm going to drop you this link, bro. I thought I sent it to to your YouTube page, but anyway, man, this is for Doc, man. I invited Doc up here because Doc is a historian of 70s boxing, and we still got an hour to go here, bro. If you want to come up, Doc.
King Doc.
Doc knows his boxing, bro, and Doc will share some of his memories. In fact, Doc has a fight that I can't remember who it was, but we watched it a couple of months ago, and it was almost like the referee helps the guy up, and I don't want to spoil it because I'm sure when Doc gets up here, he'll tell us the fight that it was. But but these two guys, man, both in today's world, they would be champions, man. They would be cruiserweight champions. They'd go right through the bridgerweight. Ron Lyle was he beat Ernie Shavers and just like the fight with George Foreman, but he went in that fight. He knocked Foreman down twice. Foreman got up and took care of him. But if he was around today,
Ron Lyle, Ron Lyle was ahead on the scorecards, I believe, when that fight with Ali was stopped. Ron Lyle could fight, and that fight with Foreman, that might be the most exciting heavyweight fight I've ever seen. George Foreman and Ron Lyle. Ron Lyle could fight.
My bad. Salute to the chat. Salute to everybody, man.
And Mr. Doc. Salute Mr. Doc, who's in here.
I made it. What's up, guys?
Mr. Doc made it.
Mr.
George,
Doc,
I got real quick. I want to say that, George, that's not just the most exciting fight. That's like one of the most exciting stare downs.
tell him who you
Oh
are.
my God.
You can tell right away when you
Oh
see that
my
stare
God,
down.
yes.
It's on. It's
Yes.
on. Sorry.
Yes.
Sorry.
No, I'm with you. Oh my
Nah,
God.
man. Love enthusiasm. I knew Doc was gonna come in with it.
That's
I
stare down.
want people to know. I want people to know a little bit about Doc. Doc saw a lot of these fights, bro. Doc is a historian himself, man. He lived through this era, and so it's a pleasure to have Doc on here, G5. Doc is going to teach me some shit, bro. Teach you some shit, even teach George some shit. So go ahead, Doc.
You know, that's my
Where
favorite.
do we want to start? Yeah, we're talking about Jerry Quarry and on Lyle, right?
That's what we're watching right now, bro.
Well, Doc,
Yeah,
like what,
yeah.
Doc, besides Ali, what stood out for you in that era of heavyweights?
Oh God, so many guys. Foreman,
Yeah.
Frazier, Norton. Really, there you go. The thing that stood out was just how many unforgettable, you know what I mean, fighters and personalities he had.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, everybody knew these guys. Jerry Quarry was a household name, even. You know, let's see, who else you got here? I mean, Jerry Quarry beat a young up-and-coming knockout artist, Mac Oster,
Oh,
undefeated at the time. Let's see, you got
Ernie-
fringe guys,
Ernie
Tiger
Shavers.
Woods, Ernie Shavers. There you go. Everybody knew Ernie
And
Shavers.
Jimmy Young.
More the man responsible for more blackouts than Con Edison, Bruce.
He was the original Doc Destroyer.
Yeah,
That was-
yeah.
And the thing about him, man, Jimmy Young, he was another one in there, man.
Yeah,
Jimmy Young
that's
would
one of my
fit in-
favorites right there. Yeah.
He would fit in boxing today, no doubt about it. Now that was a guy who could nullify Joe Frazier's left hook. That's why you didn't see Joe Frazier fucking with Jimmy Young.
hey, Jimmy Young retired George Foreman. He retired him
Yeah.
for 10 years. So
He brought him back to Jesus, man.
he did. He said,
Oh,
yeah.
when you think about it, Jimmy Young was from Philadelphia. Who do you think he sparred with in Philadelphia?
Oh, he had. Yeah, I'm confident he sparred with all them dudes.
Absolutely.
All them dudes.
And why don't you think Joe Frazier ever gave him a shot? You know?
Yeah.
Nah,
Absolutely.
he didn't want no parts of that. He didn't want no parts of
Joe
that. You
Frazier
saw-
wasn't
Look how
dumb.
much trouble. Look how much trouble Kenny Norton had with him.
Oh my God.
I thought he beat Kenny Norton. Quite
A lot of
frankly.
people thought he
check,
beat Norton.
Check this out. I thought Jimmy Young beat Kenny Norton. I thought he beat Ali.
Ali. Yep.
All right. He got the win over Foreman. And I'm losing my mind now. But
I mean, he
anyways,
beat Ron Lyle twice. Jimmy Young beat Ron Lyle
beat
twice.
him up. Like one-sided.
Yep.
Beat him up.
Yeah.
And the really cool thing about it is footage of one of them. I think it's in Hawaii. And he beats him up, George, on the inside. He has his head in his chest. It just fools him.
And how about this, bro? He gets knocked out by Ernie Shavers, and then he comes back and he beats Shavers. They gave him a draw.
Yeah.
I saw that fight in Maryland.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And he beat Shavers, but it was a draw. And to come back from a knockout like that, it's like this is a tough kid. I mean, Jimmy Young died. I think he was he was only like 46 years old or something. He died of cancer. Had a heart attack. I'm sorry. He had a heart attack and died, quickly. But what a guy who should have been a millionaire, should have been, should have had the problems that he
Should have
had.
been a champion. He should have been a champion.
Think about
twice.
it. Yeah, if two scorecards basically go his way.
Yep.
If he gets that wins over Norton and Ali, he's viewed an entirely different. You get what I'm trying to say? Strategy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think those were 1-point victories too. The fights that
The
Jimmy
Norton
Young had.
one was. I know the Norton one was. Yeah,
and the Muhammad Ali one was too.
I think so.
I'm pretty sure it was, man. But he was a very integral part of the 1970s.
Yep.
Boy, I just wish I wish I could have. It's something about growing up in the era of of boxing, certain eras. Like I remember the 80s like it was yesterday because I watched the fights and I lived it. The 70s, I was just growing up. So the fact that you guys like you can remember where you were when you saw this fight, when you saw that fight, that's what I love to hear. Like I love to hear that perspective of people who lived through the times, not just the fights, but the times. Like Bruce, you said the Vietnam War was going on when Ali Frazier fought. So I mean, I love hearing this stuff.
Shout out to the Stallion Roses, man. Salute, man. And Owen Richardson. Thank you.
No, the Stallone Roses, not the Stallion Roses. The
Stallone.
Roses.
Sorry, bro. I tell you, man. I'll be seeing much better within a month.
Good.
So yeah, the fight we're watching here. This was supposed to be Rob Miles' like coming up party at MSG.
Yeah, and Jerry Quarry still showed it. I mean, Quarry was highly ranked. He was ranked in the top 4 basically throughout the 70s until the 75, 76. But he was always the. I mean, he was truly the definition of a gatekeeper.
Yeah.
To get to Ali or Joe Frazier, you had to go through Jerry Quarry.
I mean, in another era, he probably would have been a champion. But
Saki. Sorry, man. I'm also kind of bad with pronunciations. S-A-K-I.
In a 4-belt era, George, I think a lot of these guys.
Oh yeah.
Get their hands on. A lot of guys.
Quarry is definitely one of those guys that there's a lot of them in the 70s that would have been champions in other eras, but they just happened to come along at the wrong time for them.
And he still had some great wins. You got this one right here.
Yeah.
The Mac Foster win I mentioned. The
Ernie
one round
Shavers.
destruction of Ernie Shavers.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
He had 2 great fights. Really, he lost both of them on cuts. Great
And
fight with Joe Frazier.
Yes.
And what a tragic life, man. It's so sad to see the way he went.
Sad.
And his brother Mike Quarry, another one. I mean, just
poor Mike.
they didn't even want to fight. Their father made them box. They didn't want to fight. They wanted to play baseball. Their father said, "Nope, you're fighting."
Oh yeah, he was like Pistol Pete's dad.
Right.
Complete hard ass. Yeah.
Quick question. Ken Buchanan was a good lightweight, bro. Roberto Duran beat him. I don't think there was a foul there. I think Buchanan looked for his way out. But he was a boxer. He was a good fighter, man.
He maintains to this day, Bruce, that he has a ruptured testicle.
I know.
Roberto
He sure
Duran.
did.
And the quote I love from him, whether it's true or not, this is gold. He's all, so now every time I take a piss, I got to be reminded of Roberto Duran beat me up.
Well, Bruce, you talked about.
Man, this nigga died.
You talked about.
I was on mute.
You talked about Quarry and Quarry's hard life. This sport is brutal, and one thing I'll say about today's fighters, I think they all know it, and I think that's why they don't fight as often. So a part of me as a fan, I want to see guys fight all the time, but you have to think about it. Boxing will take a toll on you, and if you fight too much, you will be damaged. And Anthony Joshua, I'm doing a show on him in his fight with Alexander Usyk. He's talked in his interview about, I'm worried about the punches that I'm taking and what kind of effect it's going to have on me. So, I guess I see why guys don't fight. Like Archer Beterbiev is 37 years old. He's only had 18 fights, I believe, a ton of amateur fights, but this is a rough fight. Like all these great fighters we're talking about here, most of them were damaged severely from boxing, and it's just a tough sport, man.
Well, and here's other. I think you're absolutely right, George. I think awareness of this, and maybe even you might call it hyper awareness. I do believe that's a major component of the state of the sport today. But I also believe that maybe not all, but most of these guys, look, they didn't have the terms like CTE, but they talked about guys being punch drunk. Right?
Yes.
And they may not have known the complete magnitude of the risk, but most of these guys knew, that they're probably going to come out the other end damaged in some way. But they didn't have any better options in a lot of cases.
You're right. I mean, this was their living. They fought. Yeah. This is how they made a living.
like Bruce just said, Corey's dad didn't give him no other choice.
Right.
Ron Lyle, he was in fucking prison, got stabbed and almost died, and was like, "Hey, you want to box? Okay."
Different.
You know.
It's a different time. Different time. Oh, I agree. I agree.
Yeah, most of these guys, I mean, they didn't have any other choice. They really, I mean, for the most part, they didn't do this because, well, so I mean, once they got in it, you know, then it becomes, you know, hey, how great do you want to be? And balance for that, like you kind of alluded to, is how much are you willing to risk about, you know, at the end of your career?
Right.
Like hey, Ali said repeatedly after he retired in interviews, no regrets, wouldn't change a thing.
Yep. Yep.
You know, so I mean, hey, if that's what it's gonna, I mean, it may be unfair, but that's where the bar's set, people. That's where the bar is set.
And it's a high bar. It is a high bar. And meanwhile, look at these two guys, Bruce. Ron Lyle and Jerry Quarry are just chest to chest. They're chest
unbelievable.
to chest.
They are. This is phone booth warfare right here.
Oh my God.
This is Lyle's specialty, and Jerry Quarry, he just wants to have a little room to throw those punches, and that's enough for him. Step back a foot and bang, and then get right back in there.
Boy, Lyle's a lot bigger than Quarry too.
Yeah, Lyle. He does. It looks like a cruiserweight against a heavyweight.
Oh my God!
And Quarry's best weight was under 200, wasn't he?
Yep.
Like a
yeah, he was.
Yeah. He could easily have been a cruiserweight today.
Wow. I love these commercials. Willie Mosconi. I remember hearing about him when I was a kid. The great pool player.
Schaefer beer, Bruce.
Oh my God! This is old school.
Oh, dude, I was doing that back then.
What, drinking Schaefer beer?
I was
drinking Schaefer and playing pool.
I was a trophy pool player, believe it or not. I'm not kidding you, man. I was cracked.
I
bro.
believe it.
I used to go to
G5, I
bars.
would never play pool against Bruce G5.
No, man. You know, I fucked up my shoulders, and I can't get down there and aim anymore.
You're not.
I was down in the wall, and I got challenged to a pool game, and I said, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna give this guy a lesson here." And I hadn't played in several years, and my shoulders just got worse. I just couldn't get down. But I was doing. I go in a bar, I buy one drink. If I go on the pool table, I'm not paying for a drink till it's closing time.
There you go.
And you know, I've won so many tournaments, but I was just graced to be good with it. I had that geometric look. I could see angles. I knew English, and it was a cool thing. But anyway, seeing Willie Mosconi, he was the man.
Yeah.
Minnesota Fats, Willie Mosconi. There was a dude in my state. His name was Rolly Miller. I played him a couple of times, and I almost beat the guy. I choked at the end on a fucking 2-bank back slap. But man, it was like But he knew every time he played me, he knew it was going. He couldn't fuck around. He was he was truly a hustler, but he ain't gonna hustle me. He had to play me straight pool. But he was way better than I was.
Yeah.
And all it takes is one shot, and you're way better.
You're not gonna hustle me, Bruce. I'll never play pool with you. I'll do anything else.
I'm not, the only way I could play pool again is if I had total shoulder replacement. And I got the good herb. I don't need a total shoulder replacement. Are you kidding me, man?
There you go.
I got the sweet diesel over here.
So these 70's fighters we're talking about, is George Foreman? If you want to count Larry Holmes, I mean, Larry Holmes did become a champion in the 70's, but Foreman and Holmes, are they the only two major guys that are still alive? I think they are.
I think you're right.
I think they are. That's why we have to really pay special homage to these guys.
Well, not to bring look. Well, no, not to bring look. Not to.
Now I need a token.
George, you were here when we interviewed when we had George's brother.
No, I saw it. I wasn't on, but I saw it.
Oh man,
I saw it.
Great stuff, bro.
Yeah.
Great stuff.
Yeah.
But being able to talk to people that are around there, man. You know, Roy was his business agent, so he was in there. I mean, he was signed to fight Larry Holmes. You know, we got the inside from George. I don't know if it was on the show he told me or on the phone when I was talking to him. But he told us that fight was signed. George was going to get 10 million. Larry Holmes was going to get 4 million, and this promoter pulled out. And it wasn't a Don King or a Bob Arum.
Yeah.
It was foreign money, Arab money, and they just pulled out of the fight. And but he told me he had to give him 10% non-refundable. So George got $1 million for doing nothing. George was a businessman, bro.
No, he was a great. I mean, he made more money with his grill than he did fighting. So
they were going to fight overseas, is what you're saying, Bruce? Is that
no, they were going to fight in Houston, and it was going to be a huge fight. It was back when Foreman had his titles. This was like in the 90s.
Okay.
Yeah, past their prime.
Career, George. No, but yeah, I get it. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, and just never came to fruition because the motor pulled out.
Yeah, Larry's always insisted George is afraid of him, of course, because that's Larry. I mean, what do we expect Larry to say? Right?
Well, right, Larry's going to say that.
You can Google it, and you can read the story. When Roy told us that. I went back and checked it out, and it was Roy, Lou Duva. They're all in the Shelley Finkel. They're all in the same room, and good shit. Reggie O's my brother. Shout out to you, D-Ray. Thanks for stopping by, bro. We're going back to the 70s, listening to some cool jazz. I got my kids in here with me tonight. I got George Jakovic. I got G5, and then I got this old pervert that decided to tang along with us, man. His name is Mr. Box.
Who let me in the door, right?
And we're talking 70s boxing.
Hey, Mr. Doc, when did you realize that you love boxing?
I think my first really clear, is like I grew up in the 70s, so these were like right there with my Saturday morning cartoon heroes.
Right.
Like Muhammad Ali was at the peak of the whole pyramid of that. They're all kind of jumbled together to some degree. I would say my first really fight I really 100% clearly remember, it would be Ali Lyle that you mentioned.
Wow.
Where Ali has to come back from behind.
Yeah. Yep.
And he gets the infamous, as Bert Sugar put it, a Ron Lyle bobblehead doll moment when he's sliding him up in the corner and he keeps going to the ref. Hey, come on. Have some mercy.
So that's the first fight that you can really remember.
Like I saw that on ABC. You know what I mean? When it happened, and I clearly remember.
And that's the kind of fight. And that's the kind of fight that you're going to say, I'm watching boxing again.
Exactly. Yeah, I was hooked right from there. I mean, I know that I watched fights prior to that because my dad and grandfather both were boxing fans. That was like literally the only thing that all three of us had, mutual interest in. So that'd be invariably the few times the three of us would hang out and be over a boxing match.
Well, G5, how about you? Because you're younger than us. So when did you first, was there a certain fight or a certain fighter where you realized, man, I love this sport?
I mean, I watched it, but I was a big fan of Winky Wright.
Okay.
But no, of course, I mean, I like to watch Mayweather fight and whip as well.
Right.
I'm doing it back, so I was born in 88, around 99, late 90s and stuff. That's when I really knew more about boxing. I had more knowledge about it. I think it was shit. Man, wow. I guess one of that really caught my attention was when Winky went to Trinidad.
Oh man. Winky schooled Trinidad. I was at that fight for HBO. Woo. Man.
I've always said that Winky Wright's southpaw jab is the most southpaw jab I ever seen.
Which one, G5?
It's beautiful. I said I love to watch it when you're young, but no happening too.
Oh,
man,
yeah.
That was fun to watch. He was fighting. Yeah, no, I wasn't He was hell.
Bruce,
He was a monster.
Bruce, what about you?
I can't remember right off the head. It'll come to me. I'm
Right.
sober right now. Once I smoke,
I got
it'll
you.
come to me.
Well, Bruce,
All the
It'll
stuff,
really
George.
come
This
to me.
was
But I
this
think
was like the 70s is when I stopped watching wrestling as my number one combat sport, and I just boxing took place in the house. If the Patriots were playing, and there was boxing on, boxing took place. I mean, boxing was number one, bro. And you're from New England too, man. Patriots are it's out. There you go. There you go. There you go.
well, Con Shawnery said for George Jakovic, I think it was Sugar Ray Leonard. Am I right? Yes. Sugar Ray Leonard.
Right. Oh,
Sugar Ray Leonard.
He was one of my favorites too.
But he's the first one I remembered that I identified with.
Well, that was
got
during
me
the
in.
70s too, bro. That was 70s stuff for sure. How old were you in 1976, man? 77?
I was 6 years old.
Oh, so you were still wet behind the ears and your breath smelled like Similac.
Exactly.
Okay.
Still wet behind the ears. But yes, Sugar Ray. Oh man,
my brother.
Sugar Ray. Listen, I mean, I've got somewhere in my office, I've got a book report that I did, that I got an A+ English on Sugar Ray. But my two of the things I remember most from school is a book report on Sugar Ray Leonard, and I was in 9th grade. I was in honors English. We had to do an oral book report. So you had to get up in front of the class and you had to do it first person perspective and be the person. I got up in front of my class. I had a robe on. I had boxing gloves on. And I was Muhammad Ali. I said I was born January 17th, 1942. My name was Cassius Clay. Only 2 people got A's in that class, and I was one of them. So I'm still very proud of that.
Damn, before the cell phones.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
No, man, I grew up, like I said, bro, boxing in the 70s. That's when I blossomed into more than a casual. But I saw Sugar Ray Leonard, man. I watched his whole career unfold from the Olympics when he had his girlfriend's picture in his sock.
Yep.
Winning from the Cuban, winning the gold medal. I can't think of his name, of course, when I want to. And just his whole. He needed $40,000 for the operation on his parents.
Right.
That's why he turned pro. And oh man, I mean, he was truly one of my favorites. And I told you I saw him live at the Providence Civic Center.
Yeah, you've said that.
I mean, dude, he was.
It came to me now. I've been over here thinking like hell on you. Like, damn, what was it? I remember one of my uncles, because I used to fight a lot. You know what I'm saying? He's like, you like to fight? Let me show you something. And the fight he put on, that what really got my attention on boxing. He put on Foreman and Ali. I was like, God, I was drawn to it. I watched it probably about 10 times that night.
Oh man, that's a great memory.
I was working. I had this job in Boston. It was the best job that a kid in college could get. It didn't pay any money, but I was an usher at the music hall, the Boston Music Hall, and they had concerts galore there. And I got to see Bruce Springsteen and Joni Mitchell and the Grateful Dead. I mean, so many shows. I got to see Sly and the Family Stone. Got to see George Benson, Billy Cobham. I mean, it was like it was a dream. Every time a concert came around, all I had to do was have a flashlight and show people where to sit down. After the first act played, I was on my own, and everybody, all the other ushers, they all partied hardy. But I had to work that night. It was a Bruce Springsteen concert, and they didn't want. So if you don't come in, somebody else will. We'll see you later. And I had to do it. But I was there, and Bruce Springsteen came out and said, "And I got some news for you. Muhammad Ali stopped George Foreman in the 8th round. And he's the new heavyweight champ of the world." The place went crazy, and I'm like,
wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's how his concert started.
That's how that fucking concert. I think it was in the middle of the concert, but Bruce came out. But yep, this was Who won this fight, George? I didn't even.
Mr. Jerry Quarry
Mr. Jerry Corey was
with Gil Clancy in his corner.
Gil Clancy. He was I used to listen to Gil Clancy a lot. I had a lot of respect for Gil Clancy.
Oh, him and Tim Ryan. I loved all
CBS.
the afternoon. Yes,
CBS
I loved
yeah.
Tim Ryan and Gil Clancy. Oh man, they were so good. Those guys were so good together. That was boxing every week, man, Mr. Doc. Like G5 doesn't. I mean, I wish he could have experienced that every weekend. Saturdays and Sundays, you had great fights, not good fights, great fights and named fighters every single freaking weekend.
Yeah. So I can't remember what they called the NBC one. You had ABC Wide World of Sports.
How can I get rid?
CBS Sports Spectacular. And NBC had NBC Sports World. Was it Sports World? What the hell was it?
Yeah, it was Marv Albert, Bernie Pacheco.
Yeah. And all three. You know, you had Howard Cosell, Tim Ryan, and fucking Gil Clancy.
Yep.
And you couldn't go wrong. You couldn't go wrong.
Yep.
You couldn't go wrong with it. We were lucky, man. We were lucky. You know, in hindsight.
Very.
But the good thing about this, with me being younger, I'm studious. I love to study stuff that I don't know, that I should know, you know, because you know, one of these days, yeah, they're gonna become the G5. Like, man, you remember this fight? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. You know, so we're gonna get to that point. I mean, I feel like I'm pretty I'm good right now. And I learn from you guys. Sometimes I just sit over here, I take notes to myself, and then I go pull some up, bookmark, and then go revisit it at a later time. You know, anytime we talk about something, I already know. I got a tablet handy dandy. Always.
Hey, check this fight out here, bro. This is Jimmy that we're talking about. George Foreman. He had just been beaten by Ali, and this is George on his comeback trail. And this was a crazy fight in San Juan, Puerto Rico. George didn't go down there, and he didn't give him time to get acclimated to the heat. And Jimmy Young, this was probably, look at Jimmy Young's hurt over here.
This is amazing. This right here is amazing.
My
Let's
God.
get a text. Let me see who texts me here.
George Foreman was a wrecking. He was a wrecking machine. I mean, good God.
Yeah,
Almost.
all
Look at this. Look at this.
Oh. Oh. I mean, he just swung from floor, Foreman.
Keep watching, George. This is incredible.
my brother George, always a professional. Texting and told me the music's a little too loud, man. Shout out to George.
You weren't supposed to say it, you know?
Yeah, George, I'm a hamburger over here, bro. I just want to tell George is the professional here, and you know, I should know, but I'm too much of a geek. When I, you know, shout out to you, bro. I know you're an associate producer, and you don't get much of a pat on the back, but bro, I give you one because I don't take false credit for anything. I didn't realize the music was so loud. See, I got my surround sound on, and I got some uncopywritten music I can get away with over here. So just kind of cool to play in the background.
Boy,
I
Foreman
don't
know how young.
Fight,
oh my God, he got hit with so many shots.
What I tell you, George, this is incredible.
Jimmy Young looks so good, and he got nailed over here. He's
God, nailed.
So underrated and such a.
Here comes the end of the round. Look at the end of the round here. He's lighting George up.
Well, I mean, he's the only fighter that made George Foreman see Jesus.
Oh, look at, he just nailed George with the right hand.
Yeah,
he got nailed himself too. Wow. Bro, I won money on this fight.
Did
while
you
the
really?
fight was on. Yeah, I was in a bar, and I told this dude, I said, Jimmy Young's going to beat him. He's like, no fucking way.
I would have took your bet too. and I would have lost money.
Well, I saw it in Jimmy Young, and I had just watched him give Muhammad Ali fits, and he was in 100% on this fight. I knew it. We were going to see a special Jimmy Young. We had seen him a couple of times in a couple of other fights in the meantime. So I was very fortunate, and the bar couldn't believe George Foreman suffered a loss.
Man, boy, underrated.
Yep, fast hand, and a chin of iron too, man. He took some serious punches in this fight.
Yeah, a granite chin.
And look, he didn't just hang on, Bruce. He didn't just hang on. I mean, he held on for a bit, but by the end of the round, he was catching George coming in.
There you go, underrated with a capital U.
Mm-hmm.
Well, like you guys mentioned, he was a Philly fighter, all right. And if you're a heavyweight with no punch, and if there's any big flaw in Jimmy's game, that was it. He didn't have a punch.
Yeah.
All right. You have to be awfully skilled to survive them Philly sparring.
Exactly.
Oh, guys like Norton and Frazier. But he had, I mean, that right there should tell you the guy had some talent.
Oh, look at the crowd. Look at the crowd behind him.
Yeah.
San Juan, Puerto Rico.
And again, free TV. Exactly. 5 Rolla Sports. Howard Cosell, the whole thing.
Oh, yeah. This was a Thursday night on top of it. I remember it was a weeknight. It wasn't not a weekend.
Yeah, Jimmy Young finding
there
his
you go.
rhythm.
Look at that. Here we go.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
Got him. And I mean, if this doesn't reinforce to you that there is a art to boxing.
And George
mean?
George Foreman this was the end of one era right here. George saw God. He became a minister. He would dream of putting her gloves on. It was like the craziest thing you've ever seen in your life, man. The guy who was the most destructive. I mean, in my lifetime, this was Sonny Liston reincarnated.
Oh God, yeah.
This was like
the Mike Tyson, Sonny Liston of that era.
This was what if your dad says, man, Sonny Liston's gone. George Foreman will come over here and kick your ass. And, you better have half a wit on you. Know the old man's.
Can you imagine seeing Sonny Liston and George Foreman spar, because they sparred together? Could you imagine those sparring sessions with those two guys?
Those had to be.
I would have paid money to sit in that gym and see those guys spar.
I'll bet you it was like as good as watching a fight.
Oh man.
I bet you they beat the crap out of each other. Because I think there's one of those documentaries where George says Sonny Liston was the only guy that could, I don't know how he put it, tame me, basically.
Yeah, he said,
sparring.
like, you're right. I saw the same thing. Oh,
hey, Doc.
Man.
Doc, what's that fight that you mentioned? We showed it, I think, on Chad's. It was the dude from Texas, man. It wasn't Harris, was it?
Not Roy Tiger Williams.
Yeah. Tiger Williams. And who did he fight against?
Ernie Shavers. The Ernie
Shavers. Okay.
God, yeah. That dude, that is a beauty. I won't spoil it.
We'll get this one, man. Doc, I knew I had you here for something.
I knew I'm good for something.
And look at this, man. It's right at the beginning. As soon as I put Shavers in there, it says Shavers. You know how the Google thing comes down? Shavers Williams. Yeah. Shavers Williams, right off the top.
The word's getting out. I'm getting the word out.
We'll get that. George, have you ever seen this fight?
I've seen clips of it.
Man,
this is a beauty. This is a beauty.
The reaction that Doc has in this fight.
Stop.
I said, when I came on, we didn't have any special guests coming on tonight. We almost did, bro. We almost had a legend coming on here, but instead I settled for another legend, and I said, Mr. Doc, you know your 70s boxing, so here you are, my brother. And this is the one that I wanted to show that you called this one night, and it was such an entertaining fight.
My favorite KO. If I have to pick one off the top of my head, this immediately this one comes to mind. Also a pretty damn good fight.
21-5, Roy Williams.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't get Shave's record at the time.
Let's see.
Conshoni, look that up for me quickly on Box Rec so we can say what Shavers was here if you can, my brother.
I'm gonna guess. I'm gonna guess.
What year?
I'm gonna guess 54 wins, 52 knockouts.
What year was this, Doc? Do you remember?
This was 76.
Yep.
76. Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Frazier had
The bicentennial year. I'll tell you, that was a good year to be alive, man. The country was so happy. Everybody's blowing off fireworks, and there was parades everywhere. The bicentennial, man. The tall ships traveled up and down the East Coast, went into every port, and then, there was a freaking tall ships festival in every seaside city, like Boston, New York, Newport, all up down the East Coast, man. But anyway, this fight, 1976, also. And shout out to this man, Doc. Tell us a little about Roy Williams. We all know about Ernie Shavers. Tell us about Roy Williams.
Roy Tiger Williams was basically he was one of those guys they call like a gym warrior, I guess. He was a notorious in the Philly circuit for sparring wars with Frazier, Norton. Got kicked out of Ali's camp. Got kicked out of a lot of camps.
I heard a story where
And he had a hard time getting fights.
I heard a story. Larry Holmes was at ringside.
Oh yeah, I heard me talk about this. It was good. Yeah.
And Larry's yelling, "Come on, Roy! Come on, Roy!" And Roy stopped fighting. He said, "Shut the fuck up."
Exactly. He was an even saltier character than Larry was.
Oh.
And this here was supposed to be the Eliminator.
All right, Daddy's going back to his show.
Go ahead, man.
Yeah, this was supposed to be the Eliminator
That was
to get a title shot.
that was an amateur move by a professional. No, I mean we love it, George. Shout out to your daughters over there, bro. God bless you. God bless your family.
Oh, I was close, Bruce. I guessed 54 wins. For the Conchon rate was 53.
Yeah,
Wow.
Connor's right up there, man. Connor's the boxing Bible.
Oh yeah, man. He's on
53, 5-1.
Yep.
Jesus.
And what did he have, about 50 knockouts in that fucking
No,
thing?
yeah, I would guess north 50 or possibly even 51.
I mean, Shavers lost his third fight.
Yeah, a lot of these guys learned on the job.
Oh yeah. You know,
Yeah.
people thought that was the end of the world. They think that's the end of the world now. Jeff Lucietta, my brother. You know, people thought that was the end of the world now, but bro, we're talking about these cats 50 plus years later, man. No, 50 years. I don't want to date myself.
If they put it this way, if they played the game the way they do now, none of these fights hardly would happen. I would say like only a handful, like the biggest ones, that made historic amounts of money. That'd be pretty much it. You wouldn't be getting this on free TV, that's for sure.
I know, huh? And this is what made boxing popular, where when they had an event, they could pay-per-view it. Bro, I remember in the late 70s, man, my favorite of all times, bro. That was, of course, George, the fight, man, Sugar Ray Leonard and Thomas Hearns. But only a month before that, dude, we had Sanchez and Gomez.
Yeah.
And nobody bitched. Oh, they're running 2 pay-per-views. Yeah. We got to pay. You were thankful of it because you didn't have to pay for any other pay-per-views for the whole year. You got things like, I can't even fucking start naming the fights that you got for free. You got Wilfred Benitez, Maurice Hope, and I mean, we could go down the list.
Yeah, we could talk about that for the next 2 hours.
And but nobody bitched. But now there's minuscule fights. We all know it, man. This is all we talk about. I don't want to get redundant again over here. But over here, this was like Doc, and like you said, like G5 said, this was on free TV.
Ernie Shavers, let's face it, people love knockouts. They love power. If Ernie Shavers was around today, imagine what a big star he would be with his power, because people love power, man. I mean, in any sport, especially boxing, they captivate the audience.
I think this will maybe sound like a weird comparison. He'd be like an even more popular Chisora, if you get what I'm trying to say.
Well, aside from the 2 heavyweight champions, who else could Ernie Shavers would beat any of the contenders around.
He got a
I mean,
chance. I'll tell you that. He's got a chance.
Think about him with Joe Joyce or Chisora.
He'll knock him. He'll knock Chisora out. He'll knock anybody across the UK.
Wallin. He'd go right through him, man.
I mean, shit.
The guy's got 5 L's on his record. You know?
Imagine him and Deontay Wilder.
Man,
that would be.
Hey, somebody go to the hospital.
That would be Foreman. That would be Bud Foreman.
Immediately. Matter of fact, they have to take out run the front row sections and lead an ambulance in the Sam Stadium.
But you
got to remember, Shavers is only 6 feet tall, but he's got those go-go gadget arms. 80 inch reach, but 80 inch reach. That's sort of a target, and he ain't gonna be afraid. So either he's gonna get he's gonna get knocked out, or he's gonna get past that jab, and then it's gonna be all bets are off then.
Man, whoever lands the most flush shots, I mean, and it's gonna be like 10 bricks hitting you, because man, both of them punch like hell. You know you're a hell of 5 puncher. When another hell of 5 puncher said, George Foreman said, who's the hardest puncher in history? Ernie Shavers. I said.
Lee said it too.
You know what?
I know. I'm like, bro, you a bad man.
That's one of the few fights too. We said Norton and Frazier never happened. George Foreman and Ernie Shavers.
No, that never happened. Oh, God.
That one, like, I don't know how that didn't happen, but
yeah, you would have thought that'd been big money, huh, George?
Yeah, these are questions that we should have asked Roy when we had him on here. I gotta ask Trick if he can call him up again. Like I must have his email in my thing because he was such a cool guy, and he sells CBDs, man. I started smoking out of the Toker too, and he's like, oh yeah. You know, he mentioned he sells the CBD stuff. So we could have a whole other story on that, because I told him how therapeutic it was. You know, the reefer for me. And,
I was here. I remember all that.
You know G5, man. You had some good questions for him too. You asked him why his dad named all the kids George. He mentioned it out. He said, I don't even remember what he said, but he answered.
Roy's a cool dude, man.
Ron Lyle said that when Ernie hit him, it felt like his legs just disappeared from underneath, like they vanished. He vanished from the waist down. It was just.
You know that famous quote from Ali. He said, "He hit me so hard he jarred my kinfolk in Africa."
Yeah.
Everybody said Ali should have retired after the Ernie Shavers fight.
Yeah.
All the fights after that did him irreparable damage. And you look at it, that's when he really started falling apart physically. And damn!
I mean, a sad part of it really showed his greatness, that he could beat fighters like that when he had business in the ring. He had no business being in the ring against those guys, yet he still was able to beat Ron Lyle and Ernie Shavers when he was just way past his prime. Each fight, it was worse and worse.
Yeah, Norton the third time in Yankee Stadium.
Right.
You know, which I mean, really, if you want to get technical about it, probably shouldn't have fought after Manila.
Exactly. That probably would have been if you could do a movie script, that's where the Ali script would have ended in the ring. He wins it through the Manila and goes off in history. Yeah, but boxing is brutal, man. But boxing.
Instead, he goes on. Yeah, he goes on to still fights Norton and Shavers and a few, lesser guys in between. But that's still, there's still fights. You know.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So, yeah, it's crazy. It's very crazy. And it does make look, that was a fun heavyweight fight the other day, right? There's so many fights that should have already happened. To me.
Oh God! You're talking about now, today.
Yeah. Like guys like Joyce and Dubois. There's so many guys. Just two random examples. There's so many guys that they should have fought. There's so many guys Wilder should have fought. Even Fury, if you want to get to that.
Shout out to my brother Tony Boswell for stopping by the joint, man. Peace.
Really, the only two guys I can't harp on, too hard. I don't feel like in terms of fighting their contemporaries would probably be Chisora and maybe AJ.
Right.
Right. And Usyk, I can't say at heavyweight. He's only just, entered the division.
Right.
But his track record, I would say, indicates he's certainly fought all his contemporaries.
Yo, Mr. Doc, I'm doing a show right now. I'm producing a show on the rematch between AJ and Usyk, and I'm just going through the footage. AJ is mystified by fighting a southpaw. He hates the fact that I don't think he's going to win this rematch. I know he's got Robert Garcia because he wants more offensive coach.
Yep.
But he was stunned in that fight as early as the third round. I don't think he can beat Usyk. I mean, he seems to be, especially, I'm watching this footage every day saying it's so hard to fight a southpaw. Like orthodox fighters are easy. He's got this thing with Usyk. And, I mean, I was shocked when I saw that fight. I figured Usyk's going to give him a good fight, but he's going to get worn down. And Joshua's the bigger guy. He's going to knock him out, and it never happened.
This is what I saw, George. You tell me what you think. The thing that jumped out immediately to I'll say within the first 3 rounds that leapt out to me was all Usyk had to do was throw a lead right hook and take a step to his right, and AJ was immediately completely having to reset, and it was opening up opportunities for Usyk then to throw the lead left and so on.
He's lost, right?
He got completely lost as soon as he took that step to his right. All he had to do was punch and move, and it was like if you don't, I basically said to myself the same thing you kind of articulated. If you don't wear him down, AJ's in trouble, and turned out he was in trouble.
Just incredible, and I don't know, man. I mean, I've seen, look, the footage I've seen is from about 2 weeks ago, and I saw a sparring session with Joshua, and he's sparring southpaws. He looked absolutely horrible. Now, I know it means nothing because Bruce, like, Ali was terrible. They say Ali in sparring always look terrible, but I mean, that fight's August 20th, and if AJ loses this fight, you can never say someone's done because fighters fight forever, but if he loses to Usyk again, I don't know, man. There's not much upside to Anthony Joshua.
You don't have,
Not much upside for who.
it's a bad stylistic matchup, man. It's just not a good
really
style
is.
for him, man. For one, he's too robotic to be that big. He can't defend a jab.
And he's not a boxer, and he tried to box with Usyk.
Oh, yeah.
He can't box with Usyk.
Yeah. Why he tried defense with him is mystified me as well. That was another thing that jumped out.
And then he doesn't have the best gas tank. So if he goes out and tries to press and come forward, Usyk is going to get on his back foot and just counter his ass all night. He's too fast
you know what?
for him.
G5, what I remember, Joshua got stunned as early as the third round. Like the third round, he got wobbled from a shot. So he knew he couldn't just go in and throw bombs because I think at that point, he knew, oh shit, this guy can hurt me. So I agree. That's a bad matchup.
He figured it out. And then he got buzzed again.
Yeah, oh my God, the
buzzed
12th
back
round
on
was
another
out.
occasion. And
But
you
the
know, you
12th
think
round,
like,
he
oh,
was-
He had 15 rounds, he would have stopped him.
Yes, yeah. 10 more seconds in that 12th, he would have stopped him.
You raised a question, George, and I think it's an interesting one because you said, what's the upside for AJ, right? Well, from whose perspective? From AJ's perspective, personally, if what you said earlier is true about him being worried about long-term damage, etc., probably not. But from like Eddie Hearn's perspective, there's still fights out there that you can make good money off.
Oh, yeah.
With AJ. There's, you know what I mean? He would be, I guess, like he wouldn't be done, right? But he's kind of out of the title picture for a while.
But I think,
at minimum.
I mean, based on what he said,
if he loses this fight,
he doesn't want to take that much punishment. He watches fights like this, like Ernie Schaefer's and Ron Lyle, He's very cognizant of getting damaged like these guys. So I wouldn't be surprised if AJ was to lose if he retired because he said it's not, I don't want to take the punches that I'm taking. So I mean, we'll see what happens in the fight.
If he does lose, I will give Eddie Hearn this much. Look at your score. 11 losses. Eddie Hearn supports the fighters win, lose, draw. I give him that much.
Yeah.
So if he does lose, which I see him losing again, it's just not a good stylistic matchup, man.
Yeah.
It's just all wrong. Some people have your number in boxing. That's just part of the game. No matter, it's just you might fight them 5 times, you might be once, but they're gonna be the other 4 times. The style is just bad. It's just not. It's not conducive to AJ being successful because he can move, he can punch, he can box, and he's a lot quicker. His quick muscles are way faster than AJ.
Yeah.
So Usyk can turn AJ up just be trying to get his head off the line, which he doesn't do. So I just don't see it. Now, if he ever fought Wilder, he's getting flatline.
Yeah.
6 or less.
Yeah.
6 or less.
I agree. And styles make fights. It's like Bruce, Ali and Norton was always going to be a hard fight for Ali. But Foreman Norton, that's always going to be an easy fight for Foreman. Always. It's just styles make fights.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Norton had that style that he could just hang with Ali.
Right.
He had that crab defense.
Right.
Those wide punches, they just landed all the time on Ali. Those guys, where did they go? 15, 12, 15?
I think 12,
Yep.
and 15.
Yep.
I think the first 2 were 12 rounders. I
The
think.
first 2 were split
Okay.
divisions and
That's right. Only one was for the world championship. That was
Right.
Yeah.
Shea Stadium.
Right.
But man, I'll bet they're going at it right now.
Styles
It's probably a split decision too.
And it was almost like you say, Bruce. It was almost like Bruce's defense was like designed naturally to just catch Ali's punches. The way Ali.
I'm sorry, bro.
Oh,
I'm watching. He's a monster. But you're right, though, man. Those two,
God,
they
Ernie
were
Schaefer's.
just made for each other. And
Yeah.
I the first fight I gave that to Norton. Second fight Ali. Third fight, man, I watch it different times. And I get different different flowing about it. So
But Norton gave that 15th round away in the
Yes.
third fight.
Thank
He
you,
gave
George.
it. He gave it away, and he shouldn't have done that.
He literally did nothing.
Yeah.
Norton was pretty hard headed.
Yeah.
Norton was huge, though. He was bigger than George Foreman. He had muscles on top of muscles, man.
When he and Foreman fought, it was like 2 of the biggest dudes, just like ripped, that you would ever want to see. They were like 2 body, like in the Rocky movies. They all look like bodybuilders, but they're not fighters. George Foreman and Ken Norton, they look like bodybuilders, but they were fighters.
Norton would be accused of being on the juice today.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Dude. Okay, let me ask you this. Would you say that Norton, the way Foreman destroyed Norton, was equally shocking with the way he destroyed Frazier?
Now say that one again.
Yeah, say that again, Mr. Doc.
Was it equally surprising the way Foreman destroyed Norton compared to the way he destroyed Frazier? The way he destroyed Frazier was.
I mean, when he did that, like Bruce could say better than me, but everybody thought he was going to kill Ali just like he destroyed those 2 guys. He was the Jack Dempsey, the Joe Louis of the 70s. Like, I think everyone assumed that those 2 guys that gave Ali hell and George Foreman got rid of like they were fleas on his shoulder, that he's going to he might kill Muhammad Ali. Like, Bruce, I don't know how you felt back then when Ali and Foreman fought.
Oh, yeah. Well, see, George Foreman, the night that he beat Joe Frazier, I tell you, that was the night I went to the hospital with my dad.
Right.
But after that, I was in awe of George Foreman. Who was this guy? And then he went to Japan. He fought, was it Jose Roman?
Roman,
Yes.
Roman, yeah.
Jose King Roman. And he just beat oh, man. It was a retirement fight, I think, for Roman.
Right.
But I watched him and I just said, wow, this guy is. I hope Ali doesn't fight him because I thought Ali's career was over after the 60 basically. You know, I didn't think Ali could beat George Foreman, and George Foreman was this guy out of nowhere. Just what he did to Frazier, I didn't have the faith in Ali that I should have had.
Well, I mean,
Nobody
look,
did.
The way he destroyed Ali, the way Foreman destroyed Morton and Frazier.
Oh yeah,
Think about the tough fights Ali had.
Caracas, Venezuela,
Oh,
and
my
that was
God.
another fight that was on. I think it was a Tuesday night.
Caracas came.
Yeah, and you know he Joe Louis at ringside. Look at that. But yeah, man, when I saw how easily Foreman beat Norton, I'm like, oh man, this is the guy that just went life and death with Ali.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then Ali does what he does to Foreman.
Oh,
So
yeah.
you just never know. You know,
Tilted everything on its head. Tilted the whole.
Yeah, you could
But
argue
see,
facts, and you never know what's going to happen in a ring.
If I look back at that now, and I see the documentaries, the things Ali did to Foreman down there, how he got the people turned against him.
Oh,
He convinced them he was a Belgian. The
You're
Joe
talking about
Foreman-
the great documentary When We Were Kings.
Yeah.
One of
Oh,
the
yeah.
that is
and,
the best.
and a lot of other things too that I'm finding that I didn't really know. But yeah,
But
when we were
that
kids,
was
yeah.
because they had all that footage from Africa.
Yeah.
I saw that in movies when it came out in the 90s. I mean, what a great When We Were Kings is one of the best documentaries period ever made.
Oh yeah, it tells you the reality of boxing with
Yep.
the way they had to build that stadium.
That was 24/7. Like HBO takes credit for having 24. That was 24/7 decades before HBO did
President
24/7.
Mobutu killing people.
Oh
They
yeah,
said,
yeah.
Mobutu, can you lay off the executions in the stadium while the news people are here? Oh yeah, man. It was a brutal dictatorship. And they put up this crazy money, and oh bro, it was just something. There was like a 7-day festival in Zaire. They brought BB King there.
That's
Earth, Wind,
right.
Fire. Oh, and that's when George Foreman got cut, and they had to move the fight up, but they still had the festival. And the fight was like 30 days later, and oh man, what a thing to watch.
Could you
What a thing to
imagine?
live through.
Foreman was cut, and they wouldn't let him leave because they knew if he left,
He
fight
wouldn't
might
come
not
back.
happen. They would let him. That just wouldn't happen today.
Well,
No
the thing
way.
on this, the thing is, like, now you got me thinking. A lot of the places where some of these fights happen were kind of crazy places. I mean, Malaysia. You know what I mean?
Right.
Malaysia, crazy at the time. Philippines at the time, kind of crazy.
But we didn't know about it.
Oh, look at Shavers.
Yep. No,
Shavers is out.
Oh,
Shavers is out on his feet.
Right,
He's
go.
out.
Here we go. Here we go.
Shavers
Go on,
is
let's
out
stop.
on his feet. How the
Stop.
ref didn't stop this fight?
Stop.
Oh, he gave a
Standing
stand
eight. Standing eight, George.
in the 70s.
What do you think he's won?
A standing 8 count. That's unheard of.
Look at this, man. The fight continues. Wow.
Yep.
Man, he made Ernie do the Michael Jackson Smooth Criminal
He sure
on
did.
his feet. Shit. Man, I almost waste my weed. Yeah, I did.
How is Shave still standing?
Look at it.
In the back of the head.
Oh.
Shavers is out.
Bruh. Look at the trainers. Look at the,
Oh my God, he's staggering going
And the
forward.
referee pushed him away.
Now today's fight would have been stopped.
It would have been stopped when he did the Smooth Criminal.
Shavers is still punching.
He's out throwing the body punches.
They must have put some smelling salt in Shavers' nose over there. Check that referee, man. Check that referee.
And look at Shavers coming back.
He must have had that black bottle, the one that I mixed. How could Shavers be
Yeah.
coming back there, man?
Tremendous shape and condition.
Oh, the uppercut.
I
Don't
mean,
like that.
how could Williams not stop him though? I mean, he was out.
Well, like you said, today he would have been stopped several times over.
And Ernie's
Oh my
unloading.
God! Look at Shavers. Oh my God.
Oh,
He's a guy like, oh God, I wish he could have been heavyweight champ. Like, you hate to say certain guys deserved it, but damn, it would have been nice for him to won a belt at some point.
oh,
And now we saw Williams out.
Almost
Williams
over the
is
rope.
out.
Now, here we go. Check it out.
Another
Danny.
standing eight.
watch.
Williams can't lift his hands up.
Yep.
Did they stop the
Man.
fight? It looks like
No,
people are coming into the ring.
Here we go. Here we go.
So he went down after the game without getting hit.
Oh,
Wow.
See, this fight I wanted to show, but I forgot who it was, man. I knew it was a Davis fight, and I just thought of it.
You know how a hell of a lot of a punch you gotta be. So he walking back to his corner and bloop.
Then he went down. And look, Schaefer's is so out, he's got to sit down right now.
They're carrying him, George. They were having to
Wow.
That was so memorable.
Look at the graphics. Ernie Schaefer's winner. Wow.
Give him the smelling salts. He just won.
Yeah.
Oxygen.
Wow.
Now
Oh, check it out, the classy Chuck Hull. Ring announce.
we have to see that in Richie Giacchetti over there.
Yeah, I think that's who that is.
Man. God,
Damn.
Ernie almost knocked out Larry Holmes, and he came so close to being heavyweight champ twice against Ali and against Holmes. Just wasn't meant to be, I guess. Wow.
Still, I mean, he, like he pointed out, it changed his life. The Ali fight, the broadcasters mentioned when they're doing like the ring walks, right? That the purse I think he was getting $500,000. So this would have been in $1977. So pretty good sum to begin with. But they said that $500,000 was more than all of his previous 50+ fight purses combined.
Yeah. Well, when I was at HBO, at some point in the 2000s, I was in Vegas, and I remember Ernie Schaefer's, Leon Spinks, and there was another. I don't remember who it was, but they had a table set up in Vegas, and they were signing autographs. And I don't remember what the third fighter was, but I just remember thinking, damn, Ernie Schaefer's, he shouldn't have to be doing this stuff to make a living. I mean, he was such a great fighter, but it's such a tough sport, and he came so close twice to being heavyweight champ, and he came up short. And these guys don't get the money that fighters of their skill set get today. It's a different
yeah. Like I said, he didn't get paid what he was worth,
right?
In terms of the entertainment that he brought to all of us,
right?
Regardless of the fact that that he couldn't beat. I mean, what's the shame in saying you couldn't beat Larry Holmes and Muhammad Ali?
Right, no shame at all. But he gave him hell. He gave both guys hell.
Exactly. And they're both. You came, and it wasn't like you were far off. So, I mean,
Well, that's
fine. You know what I mean?
That's the difference between then and now, bro. I mean, that's why I like to do shows like this, so we can just show these fights, show these gems, and it's like, why doesn't boxing get it? We made these fighters superstars because you gave us the fights that we liked watching. We watch them today, and the people who haven't seen them like, wow. I mean, really, man, how many times are we going to watch the fights that you're giving us today?
Well,
I didn't even go looking for the reruns of them,
Yeah, we need more. This is gonna sound messed up. We need more Derek Gisoras.
Yeah. Yes.
So I'm talking mindset more. Not necessarily.
Sadly, it took two old war horses like that to really kind of give us this message. Like, we want action fights, heavyweight fights, man. They made it. This is what brought a whole generation of boxers. They made a whole generation of fans, but now it's not happening anymore.
Look, no disrespect. No disrespect to Ryan Garcia, but I think Ryan Garcia is like a millionaire now, and he's done nothing at all in the sport except have millions of Instagram followers.
Add, he's a double-digit millionaire. Look at it. Google his net worth. He's worth $10 million.
Well, there you go. And he's done absolutely nothing in the boxing game compared to what other fighters have done.
Gatorade commercials and all. Like,
Yeah.
come on, bro.
Even compared to like in I'll say in my day, right? Like you could argue Sugar Ray Leonard was to some degree viewed as a privileged fighter, if you get what I'm trying to say. I mean, because he had all the coming right out of the Olympics, he had the sponsorships and all this and blah blah blah. But even that pales in comparison to $10 million. You fight no one.
No one. I mean, he's got no resume.
Average UK fighter had you on the floor.
He's got no resume, and I'm only bringing him up because you think about these fighters that we just saw.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them ended up broke, and they didn't get the money that they deserve. And a guy like Ryan Garcia and other fighters, they're millionaires many times over without doing anything. Ryan Garcia's never won a title, like a legit title. So,
right, and it's just like, and here's another harsh comparison. A lot of the guys we're talking about from the 70s, and not just the heavyweight, but in boxing in general, a lot of these guys would really die in the ring rather than lose.
Right.
Which is why it was the corner job, the ref's job, supposedly.
Yeah.
But again, it was a different world, even George, because
yeah,
no one raised it. Here's the thing, people. We laugh now at how horrible some of the reffing, by modern standards was. Like like we were saying, how did Ernie not get stopped? In 5 different spots. But at the time, the truth is nobody raised an eyebrow. It was just that's boxing.
You're right.
Well, we have over here to watch it, and if we can share it with as many people as we can, man, it makes it worthwhile. Sit around and just show some of them old fights, reminisce back in the days. I mean, damn, it was real easy, real smooth show. Just right from the hip, man. I dug it so much, man. Didn't even have any idea what we were gonna do.
Hey, Bruce, props to you for ending it with that fight, because that last round was amazing, man.
Oh, props to Doc for bringing that to my attention, man.
Yeah.
I'm just glad I can remember it.
Oh.
But, yep. Hey, you guys, thank you a lot for coming in here, man. You want to say anything before I throw you out of here?
Just thanks for having me, Bruce. Appreciate it. Always good talking with you, George, and G5, and you too, Bruce.
Let's hurry up and get to another Tuesday night, please.
Man, great show, man. Y'all know where to find me at if I'm not here. G5_Gabe, AM Cleanup, and everything else that I do, and all the other ventures, man. Y'all sub to the channel. We growing. We headed to 1,000, man, and we rolling pretty good, man. So shout out to everybody that came in. Make sure y'all smash the like button. Help my brother Bruce algorithms, and y'all be safe and have a great one. Doc, Bruce, George, always a pleasure, my brothers.
Always a pleasure.
Have a great one, man, and it's time to get high now. First one of the day. Yeah, man. First one of the day, man. I'm like,
Do your thing, man.
Y'all go to work, take care of my kids, do all that shit first, and then when
Thank you so much for everybody, bro.
then I can get to it, man.
You earned it, G5. You earned it.
Oh yeah, man. They gotta get back up early in the morning again, but I'll be up late. But man, shout out to everybody. Y'all have a great one, man. And I dropped the link for some of y'all that are familiar with me now, up here by now. Come on over to the page. It's way more in the clip than that, man. So I'm out, man. Shout out to next Tuesday, man.
And Oscar Prince Boxing, bro. I shouted out we shouted out to
Oscar.
Where you been, bro?
Oscar, you're late, bro. We shouted out, Bruce, you shouted out Chavez 2 hours ago. So, Oscar, trust me.
And we talked a little bit about
Oscar,
the 60-year-old dude today. In fact, Oscar, I shouted you out, man, bro.
Exactly.
We love you.
We love you, Oscar. We're not going to let Chavez
come on here, bro. I'm making no trouble, bro. Come on, man.
Oscar, I think Oscar's the one that's stoned here, bro. Because he's already forgotten that he's the one that brought it up earlier.
Exactly. Oscar knows we love Chavez, and we said happy birthday. So we said happy birthday to Leon Spinks, who
I'm smashing the pinata. Everybody, bro. I celebrate birthdays. When I hear there's a fighter's birthday or jazz musicians, I'll do a show. I'll drop a community thing about it, man. I love anniversaries, man. Wait till we have our 1 year anniversary of our Tuesday night fights. I don't even remember when we started. It was only I don't know, bro. But yeah, we do something like that. But guys, man, I appreciate you coming by here so much. My camera froze on me too. I'll have to shut it off and turn it back on. We don't want to do it during the show because it would have Doc, thank you, my brother. Peace to you, man. But it froze on me, so I went to my Toker too. My real one's almost as clean as that, George. So
Yeah, I like talking. I like seeing you, but I get it. Your camera froze, so that's
and
okay. I
if
get
it does that during the show, I guess there's nothing you can do because if I refresh this thing, I'll probably lose the transmission.
as long as we can hear you.
All right, my brother George. Thank you so much, man.
Yes,
I'll
sir.
see you next week. I'll talk to you during the week, man.
Absolutely.
Peace be with you, my brother.
All right, man.
Thank you for coming by, man. Thank you for coming by, man. All right, guys. Bruce Gas over here, man. I just got an email from Walgreens. My RX is ready, and that's my testosterone. I forgot to get it. I think I'm a few days behind. But anyway, bro. Bruce Gas, thanking you so much for coming in here. Tuesday night fights. We dug on the 70s tonight, man. It's worth the playback. I think I'll be listening to it tomorrow when I go for my morning walk. See how bad I fucked this thing up. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for coming in here, man. Bruce Gas, wishing you peace and love. I'll see you next time around, man. I'm gonna go on tomorrow. I'm gonna talk about Wilfredo Gomez. I didn't even mention that with George, man. But I'm gonna talk about Wilfredo Gomez. I read a little article where they found him. He's they called it Dog Day Afternoon. So I'll see you all tomorrow at 10 a.m. if you can. Bear with me, man. Thank you so much and peace, man. I'm out of here.